Alright, so it's time to add a liner to the pool, but before we can do that, I'm gonna add a felt along the pool steps and on the walls. A felt like this. Also on the bottom of the pool as well. A felt like this has three main functions. The first function is to cover up all these imperfections, like these gaps in the planks over here, as well as screw holes and so on. The second thing it does is that when you walk on it, it will feel really soft to walk on. It's really a pleasant feeling. It also has a third thing it does, but I will take that when I get to that point. Now to fasten this on the wall, I will use double-sided tape. You can use spray glue or something else, but I just happen to have a lot of double-sided tape just lying at home, a whole container of it. The normal way would be to roll the roll in that direction and just cut off everything that goes above the pool. Now this roll can be used to cover the entire pool, but for that to actually work, I cannot have much waste. That's why I'm gonna go row by row. That way I will get a minimum amount of waste. Now this felt is supposed to go all the way up to this list over here. Not gonna stretch it, I'm just gonna gently push it against the tape. Yeah, seems to be working. Great. Just gonna fold it like that and mark. And I'm gonna add tape along the bottom here and also around this inlet. Now you can probably see that using a spray adhesive here would be much easier to do, but this tape I already have would be kind of wasted if I don't use it. Now this tape or spray glue or whatever you want to use is just here to keep the felt into place while filling it up with water. After that it doesn't matter if it so goes away or whatever, because the water pressure will keep everything in place. Oh, come on. Now this is how it looks after just one piece has been installed. I have not cut out for this one yet, but that shouldn't be an issue to do. Right, so I got a little bit irritating of the rain interfering the whole time, so yeah. It's the end of the summer and it's really cold, so I need to do this anyway. You might wonder, why cover up a pool I'm about to fill with water? That's a good question, and that is because the liner is really hard when it's cold. So I'm gonna put some heaters down here that will heat up everything inside, so it will be about 40-50 degrees, something like that. The weather report said there should be no rain today. They lied. I won't lie though, this is kind of cozy. Hey, if you like my video, I would appreciate it a lot if you took the time to hit that like button. Alright, so I'm done installing the felt. It turned out very good and I'm very happy with the result. One thing to note is this tape I added over here. Now, what I did wrong with this one is that I pulled on it too much on each side. I pulled it to this side and I pulled it to this side. What happened was that I stretched it out. The tape wasn't strong enough to keep it in place, so it shrunk back in. So it created small gaps, like 5mm or so gaps in these joints. So to fix that, I pushed it back together from both sides and added this tape. Now this tape will not be visible through the liner. It will not matter at all. It will just simply add strength to this joint. Now the next step is to add the liner, but before I add the liner I need to add all the sealings around the seals, the rubber, whatever it's called, around the lamps, on the skimmer, as well as on the inlets. Alright, so here we have the liner. Alright, let's see how it looks. Now, I know that this small arrow here is supposed to point towards the pool steps, according to this instruction at least. So, let's see what we got here. Oh, hey! Oh, hey! I will start by roughly laying out the entire liner across the pool and then start to align all the corners and all the lines, and when that is done I will start filling the pool with water. Another thing to note is that I'm using 2 industrial heaters that produce 2 kilowatt of heat, both of them, and that is to warm up the liner. When the liner is warm, it's really soft and easy to work with. Now, as you can see here, I have stretched out the liner as good as I can across the pool. The corners doesn't fully reach the corners, so to say, the corner of the liner. Still a few centimeters on both corners that are missing. Now, this is totally normal when it comes to liners. Liners can actually stretch a lot, but this is very common when you buy liners. They always make them too small for the pool. That is to include any errors the pool might have, and the only thing that do happen in the end that all the corners get a bevel, a small radius. So that is why I'm not really concerned about, you see, the gaps I have here. Now, I shouldn't lock myself in the upper corner thinking like I need to have that perfect right now, because I can't. The reason for that is that I have nothing to hold the liner in place. You see, the liner is very flexible, and if I try to stretch it out right now, it's like a rubber band, it will shrink back. So the only way I can do it right now is to do it gradually, meaning that I need to start to pour water into this pool, and while I'm doing that, I fix everything as I go. In the middle of the pool, I want the mosaic pattern to be perfectly vertical. That way I know at least the middle of the pools are where they should be. And after that, I can just start working out towards the corners. The liner was really easy to install into the list. How it works is that it latches on, kind of like a hook. The list is formed like this, and then the liner comes and just hooks into it. And to release the liner, I just need to lift it up and it's loose. I'm not worrying about this coming loose ever, because when the water is pulling down on the liner, it will never come loose. I need to empty the pool to actually remove the liner. So far, so good. about the felt I mentioned earlier, the third thing was that it's a very slippery surface, meaning that the liner gets really easy to move around. Well, if the surface is not slippery, if you use some kind of plastic material, something like that, it can get quite annoying to move around the liner. So the felt has so far made a huge difference because the liner is very easy to move around on this felt. Super good! So to get the pool steps as good as possible with the liner, I first align this corner over here so it matches up. Now this is a really important part. This needs to be aligned where it is. Now to make sure that stays in place, I've added these, I don't know what the English word for them are, like water containers. Let's call them that, yeah, water containers. Now the really good thing about this liner is that it has a mosaic pattern to it. So it has a straight line here that I can just follow and align with the pool steps. You can see it starts to go down here, right? So it's way below. So I just need to lift this up so it gets up here and then add one of those water containers on it so it stays in place. And I will do that for the entire row. You can see out here, I pressed this one into the corner here. It's probably way too far to this side and will probably not at all get into this corner over here. You can see, yeah, this is the wall. It's way out, so I probably need to stretch this to this side as well. But when I got that done, I can start filling the pool with water. It's hot in here. It's 28 degrees on the floor. Imagine how it is up here. Oh my god. Alright, so there's not much more I can do right now, except that I need to start pour water into the pool. Everything looks good for now. I need to move my heaters upstairs because they don't do well with water. This will take a long time. It's pretty hot. Hot. Now the hotter water, the softer the line will be. Man, this is too hot. I need to turn the heat down. Right now I'm using about 38 degrees warm water to fill up the pool. I have an endless supply of warm water so I can do that. Now warm water does one thing, and that is to make the liner really soft. And if the liner is really soft, it's really easy to work with. To get this really good, you walk from the inside towards the outside and keep pressing it like that. That way you will have a big stretch in the middle, which is good because then the corners will get more material. Now the more water that is added, the more weight will be added. One way it's good, one way it's bad. The way it's good is that things stay where you put them. Now the bad side is that it gets harder and harder to put them there. With things I mean the liner, right? Of course. This is so nice. Imagine there used to be a lot of dirt here and just gravel and stuff, and now it looks like this. It's amazing. It's hot, but it's amazing. Look, I even managed to get the corners all the way in. It's amazing. Now this liner I bought was exceptionally good. It has been possible to press it into all the corners You can see here when I press my foot, I get it all the way down, so I think with some water pressure that will go all the way down. Same here, it's a little bit more here, actually quite a lot more. So I might have to take some material from the middle and push over here. See over here, this corner is really good. On the width, this one is really good. It's actually almost too good. Can take some of this and push it to that side. So we have about a centimeter of water across the entire pool. Now something I need to watch out for is where my lamps are. Here they are, and here they end. So I need to mark out about here some tape or something, so that I can stop filling water at this level, and then I do the rest of the lamp, add the outer ring and the ceilings and everything like that, and then I keep filling up. And I will do the same thing for the inlets and for the skimmer. Oh boy, it's hot in here. Sad smiley. I'm gonna try to use one of these scrapes to push the liner towards that edge. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that definitely works. Really good tool. The water level right now is about 2 to 3 centimeters deep. And honestly, it's really hard to move around the liner right now. It's still possible, but it's very hard. Now the added weight from the water makes it possible to stretch the liner even further. It's harder to do, but it's possible. Before, when it wasn't that much water and I was stretching the liner, it kind of pulled back on itself. The stretch force, or whatever you want to call it, was greater than the weight above it. So it wasn't keeping itself in place, so it kind of like shrunk back again. But now the water is so heavy that even if I stretch it, it doesn't pull back. Here's the LED lamp holder. So the thing I'm going to do now is to cut out for the lamp, but before I do that, I add this ring first. Now this is very important that you add the ring, the sealing ring, before you actually make any cuts whatsoever in the liner. To find out where the screw holes are, I just feel, and the screw holes I'm looking for are these two, the top ones. So I will just mark out where they are. Here we go. There we have one. And just screw it in. And the way I add the screws is that I place them across each other from the ring. So the next one should be down here. Now it's very important that you don't do this before the water level is about 5 to 10 centimeters below it. Because if you do it too low, there's a chance that this liner might have a different position than when the water gets up here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to cut away this liner. And as I said before, it's very important that you add this ring before you actually make any cut whatsoever. You don't want to make any cut outside. And when doing this, be very careful so you don't, for some reason, go like whoops with the knife, because then it will cost you a lot to fix. Here. There we go. So next up, I'm gonna add this sealing nut for the cable for the LED lamp. The actual LED lamp. Now the lamp should be possible to lower down all the way down to the bottom so that during winter time it won't freeze. It should also be able to go all the way to the surface so you can replace it if it's get broken. Now not a super fan of how these are mounted because I'm scared that my kid will try to stand this and it will kind of like tilt and break loose or something like that. And when that happens, I have no idea how to fasten this. So let's just pray it will stay like this. The next time I'm gonna start doing anything on the liner is when the water level reaches about J-high, because I need to do the same thing here that I did with lambs. Add the rubber sealing and cut up the hole. Another thing I do every time I come down here in the pool, I check the bottom bevel. It's still a small bevel, but not much. It's surprisingly small. The bevel on the bottom is actually very necessary. And that is because the water is pressing down on this bevel, and that is pulling the liner down. Right? And when the liner is pulled down, it locks in place up here. If the liner wasn't pulled down, this would come loose. You can see here in the corner, we have a huge bevel, right? It's huge. It starts over here. And it goes all the way over here. So it's a huge bevel. Further down, it's not that huge. It's like the radius of my foot or something like that. Not that much. I can live with that. And every time I come in this pool, I put a knee here and try to push it in as much as I can. Every time. And I do the same thing on the other corner. The water level has risen above the first pool step. About like 5 centimeters or so, maybe less. And that's just perfect. When I did that, I moved up a container, but before I moved up the container, I adjusted the liner. So you see this corner over here, it represents the corner of the second step. So I aligned it as good as I could, and then I moved up the water container over here, and the water container's weight is keeping this into place. And then I kept doing the same thing for the entire row. The mosaic pattern makes this really easy. You can see it's a straight line all the way to that side. It's really easy to do, and I absolutely love working with a mosaic pattern. Super easy. You can see here is a joint, right? And this is supposed to go way into the corner, and now it is. So it's a really good fit. Now at the pool bottom here, the liner has a small bevel, and that is really good because it's actually pulling the liner down. This liner is pulled down. Now that is why I had to wait for the water level to risen this high. Now the water pressure from above as well as the water pressure from the side keeps this liner into place. That is why it was safe to move up the containers to the next level. If I had moved up these containers too soon, this liner might have been pulled down, and that would create a very oddly fit for this liner. This line might have been down here or something like that. It would have looked really ugly and would have been impossible to move up. Furthermore, that would have affected the next step and the next step and so on. So getting it right on the first step is really important. Obviously, keeping it perfect all the way is ideal. Having a warm water and a warm air temperature makes this so much easier. I can't even describe it. I have a cold liner inside now, like room temperature, and it's rock solid. I can't budge it at all. But as you can see here, it's very soft at these temperatures. Really soft, really easy to work with. So hot temperature makes this super easy to do. So use hot water and hot air. You can see I use 2 heaters, only one is turned on right now to keep the volume down. Obviously they're not on the whole time. They have a temperature regulator over here that keeps this room at about 36 degrees. So it's just perfect for this. And it's also a temperature you can work in. Now I just have to do the same thing for this step and for this step. And when this step is done, the pool is full. Right? What I need to keep track of is this inlet over here. And the final thing to install is the skimmer over there. I won't be able to record much more than this, obviously, because I don't have much room for the camera and I'm really scared to drop the camera. The remaining steps I will do the same way, except the last step, because I need to remove those heaters. Having the heaters in the water and me in the water at the same time, yeah, no. Big no-no. So I will remove the heaters on the final step and maybe just try to still keep them in here but outside the pool on some kind of bench or something like that, so it keeps blowing hot air in here. As I said, hot air makes a world of difference when it comes to adjusting this liner. Huge deal. So I'm almost done installing the liner, but as you can see here in the corner, the liner keeps popping out, and that is because the liner isn't being pulled down by water force. Now, if the liner was being pulled down by the force of the water, this one would lock. Now, the problem with that is during the winter I need to drain the water all the way down to that inlet. So that means that this liner will have no pulling force downwards whatsoever. From one of these, I cut this. And this helps me lock the liner in place when I push it in. You can see it right now, it just springs back out, right? Just pops right back out. If I push this one in firmly, I can take this one and just slide it in like that, and the liner stays in place. Even if I pull on this, it won't go anywhere because this piece is locking it in place. It's really easy to make, so there's really no reason not to make one. The water has reached the final step of the pool steps, so the thing I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna remove all the water containers and try to adjust the final shape of the liner and then fill up some more. Alright, so the installation of the liner is pretty much done and it turned out great. You can see the mosaic pattern here, that the pool edge is following the line all the way to the other side. And the same thing for all the pool steps. So the mosaic pattern made a huge difference with aligning stuff. And for those who want to know what kind of radius we're talking about in the corners, you can see down here. Check this one out here. And this is the last pool step. This will probably be pushed in a little bit more when water comes to it. And this corner is obviously not okay yet because there's no water here. When the water level will rise up some, it will be pushed in and it will look great. For this side, it's not sharp. It's by no means sharp, but I think it looks great like that. I don't mind having these rounded corners at all. I think it looked great. As long as the liner is straight, it's good for me. Yeah, I'm very pleased with how it have turned out. It looks fantastic. Now I'm just gonna fill up the pool so much that it reaches the skimmer. All right, let's see if we can see the skimmer in here. Can we see that? I can't see it. Oh shit, I'm almost the camera almost took a bath. Okay, so no. Anyway, the liner is in place and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I love it. In my next video, I'm gonna show you how to hook up all the plumbing systems such as pump, filter, UV lamp and heater. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that. It's gonna be a blast.